Yo, how's it going everyone? It is Tuesday the 18th of August 2026 and I've got a trade recap on how I made $0 trading the Nasdaq this morning. I ended up getting break even on the day, took my one trade and I'm going to break that down for you right now. So let's go straight to 9:30. So going into the morning, what was I seeing? Well, if you go on the 4 hour, let me delete all that. If you go on the 4 hour, you can see we're clearly displacing lower towards these sell side draws below. Oh, let me put the magnet on. These sell side draws below, which actually is an unfilled weekly. And if you go on the 1 hour, you can see we kind of have this high time frame low resistance leading up to it. So our draws lower at the minute are very good. And if you take a look at ES, ES did at 9:30 has actually traded into this weekly, as you can see. However, we do have a little mid-time frame sort of accumulation going on where we have still got these draws lower. So shorting would still be of interest to me on ES. However, if you do look to the buy side, you can see we also have all of this low resistance on the high time frame, and NQ was also relaying that. We've got these relative equal highs just here. We've got more low resistance at the top, and then you can see we have got these unfilled imbalances on the 4 hour and one that we were creating at 10 a.m. So I was kind of open to both sides here. We did have this 30-minute off of open, this intermediate term high. So if we did want to sweep that out, I wouldn't mind trading to the lows. And then we also had the possibility to manipulate the lows inside of this 4 hour that we were in. So the manipulation would have been valid there. And then we can trade towards the high time frame low resistance and the unfilled imbalances. So those were my two scenarios, kind of open to longing or shorting depending on what we get. And going into market open, you can see, let me just mark these back out as my two conditions. So going into market open, you can see we do end up manipulating lower first. Now, if you go back to this candle, I did actually want to enter on this candle due to us getting that manipulation and then this 1 minute inversion. However, entering up here was basically a guaranteed break even. I can't quite remember where I wanted to put my stop loss. It was based somewhat on like the 15-second chart, I think. But basically, I just wanted to try and potentially get a little bit of a pullback, just so my odds of getting break even when we sweep out this high aren't as high. But sadly, you can see we do end up just ripping straight from that point without getting a real retrace. If you did end up taking this, I'm assuming it would have been break even, as we do end up trading back lower. Hopefully it would have been a break even, or you would have got your stop loss slammed. And then at this point, the reason I wasn't really open to anything, I am going to get ES open at the same point here. Let me just get them. So I'm going to go through this because it might be a little bit confusing, but this low that you see here has already manipulated. There we go. So this low that you see here has already manipulated into this weekly. So our high time frame manipulation at this point is appeased. So if we get an SMT with that low, which you can see we are getting here, if you notice, that's that low. It's not the exact low, but that's like the swing that made the manipulation. We are currently getting an SMT with that. So high time frame manipulation at this point is appeased. However, why am I not open to, for example, taking this 1 minute, even though we've still got our draws higher, we're manipulating on both assets, we've got that SMT. And it's simply because SMTs like this, I've found, never really seem to play out. So we do end up getting this inversion. I think it's on this candle. Yeah, so we do end up getting that inverse. However, the reason I'm not taking this is simply because of all this low resistance that we're leaving on ES. I find that with SMTs, you usually want to leave just a singular swing with the like low that made the manipulation. However, here you can see we're leaving multiple swings leading up to that low that made the manipulation. So it's not really something I want to engage with. I'd rather wait until we come down, sweep out this point, and then potentially look for something like that using that as the SMT. But we never ended up getting that. So I was just sitting on my hands at this point. And you can see, so and in terms of shorts at this point, shorts looked, so we did actually end up getting a 1 minute just after here, I think. So yeah, we end up getting this 1 minute. I think that was the highest time frame. Oh no, there was a 2 minute, but I think the 2 minute closes here anyway. delivering from that 30-minute intermediate term high, but the reason I'm not open to taking anything at this point is just because ES has absolutely no high time frame manipulation. All it's doing is leaving high time frame low resistance at your stop loss that we can easily sweep out before wanting to deliver lower. So that's why I wasn't open to taking this 2-minute. However, you can see it does end up playing out. And I'll get onto the trade I ended up taking. So we chopped about for a bit, and then we ended up sweeping out that low on NQ and getting this beautiful looking 3-minute inversion. So why is this valid? Well, you can see to our left we are delivering from this 30-minute imbalance. It is low, but it is small and pretty far away, but it's still high time frame manipulation. We do end up getting that SMT with this low now, finally, where we are leaving, we're not leaving any swing points below. Now, it is equal lows, but it is still technically an SMT. We're also not leaving any sort of low resistance at our stop loss. We're getting correlated distribution in the form of this 3-minute. Now, there was a 4-minute on this leg that we didn't end up inversing. You can see, I think we actually end up printing... Oh, no, we do end up inversing on the second candle. But at this point of the 3-minute, we hadn't actually inversed the 4 yet. But why am I still okay with taking this? Well, you can clearly see in this manipulation leg, we've got this 3-minute inversion. We're closing at equilibrium of the range. There's no reason, if you've got everything going for you, to need to wait for this 4-minute. If you did wait for the 4-minute, if it wants to load, yeah, if you did wait for the 4-minute, you do actually end up getting that inversion, so it's basically the same entry point, but that's just a little something I like to use with the 3 and the 4-minute. They can be used interchangeably. Anyway, if we go to the 3-minute, this is where I ended up taking my position long. Now, I think I had my stop loss around there, and then I was just targeting this intermediate term high for just this 5-minute intermediate term high, which is sponsored from this 30-minute, hence why I was going break even there, or TP in there. Why am I okay with taking this? Well, we've got that high time frame manipulation into this 30-minute. We've got that SMT with the weekly intermediate term low. We've got an abundance of high time frame draws above. You can see we've got all this low resistance leading up to what is now a unfilled 4-hour. That goes for both assets. We've got that unfilled 4-hour, all that low resistance leading up to it. So the idea of longs at this point are very strong in my opinion. Lack of liquidity at the lows, abundance of high time frame liquidity above. Now, I ended up going break even. I think it was some point. So we actually ended up SMTing this 2-minute, and then we did get like very low time frame confirmation. So I ended up going break even there. However, when we opened up this 4-minute, I probably would have gone break even there anyway, just because I think my entry was a little bit lower. But we've got this 4-minute defending my break even point. I don't really want to see us come lower than like CE of that. Oh, there we go. I don't really want to see us come lower than CE at that point and then potentially wick us out, because then that is just kind of bad price action. I would much prefer to see us hold that higher part and then just deliver to my TP. However, as you can see, we don't end up doing that. And then I ended up getting stopped out at break even right there. And I think it did actually end up saving me from a loss, yeah, as you can see. So, very good trade management there from me, I will say. And then at that point, I'd already took my trade for the day. It became 11 AM anyway. There was no setups prior to that. But yeah, I think I played the day pretty perfect with the way I trade. If you do have any questions, make sure to drop them in the comments and I will be answering all of them. Also, if you do want to join my Discord where I do daily bias, live commentary, there's a channel on how to get started from beginner to advanced and all good stuff like that, then make sure to go to the link in the bio. You'll be able to join there and I'll catch you in the next one.